Hi Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I am going to be doing your January 2021 full moon reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also to subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload new videos, and I upload all the time, just hit the bell notification button. And if you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading and dive into the meditation, once again, a reminder to not converse or get in contact with anybody who is pretending to be me in the comment box below, soliciting you for readings, saying, oh, just email me here and I'll read for you. That is not me. I am closed to private readings at this time, and I would not be soliciting you in the comment box below for anything, for any reason. Okay, fantastic. Now, with that said, let's clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as you enter into this safe and loving space. Now let's let the bulls sing as we see what the tarot has to say. How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. And show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. And one bonus card. Ooh, let me move my camera so you guys can see better. Just give me a moment. I do apologize. Okay, I hope that's better for everyone. Fantastic. Okay. Now, let's see the chakra energy this is going to be the chakra energy during this moon that is a bit blocked, that needs to be worked on a little bit, that will be giving you a bit of difficulty. How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Fantastic. So we have here listening with the throat chakra. This makes perfect sense, okay? This full moon is in is in Leo. Okay, we also are going into Mercury retrograde on the 30th of January. So here we have 2 times where we don't want to listen. We just don't. We believe that we are right, that everybody else is wrong, to put it bluntly, and that if they could just see things our way, everything would be fine. So listening is going to be something that, it's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing because everybody is going to be feeling that way. Everybody's going to be sitting there thinking, I'm right, you're wrong, let me show you, prove it with facts, I will show you. And even if you bring the facts to the table, they'll still go, no, it's just not right. It's still wrong. And you're still like making something up or, whatever. So listening, the throat chakra, that's going to be a huge one. Communication. Communication, especially for you, Aquarius, as an air sign energy, and also your full moon, your new moon actually, is coming up on February 11th. So on the 11th of February, your new moon comes forward, and it's the new moon in Aquarius. And you're being told here to bring love into the situation with communication. And like, they're not meeting each other. It's like passing ships in the night. It can be so hard to bring the love that you want into the situation that you're in. It can be that you're trying to communicate it, you're trying to connect, and it just gets a bit frustrating. And then we have here self-mastery. This is the solar plexus chakra. This is a sense of feeling afraid at the edges, just a bit overwhelmed, a bit out of sorts. This is a sense of, with the full moon in Leo, you will take on more than you should, because you're the type of person anyway, Aquarius, who will take on more than they should, just to steady the waters, just to make everything okay. It's like, it's okay, I can be a little bit uncomfortable, or it's okay, I don't have to sleep that night, I'll sleep later. And you're going to find that you keep on piling these things onto your shoulders, and it's like, all of a sudden, one day it just won't be okay anymore. You'll be like, I can't do this anymore, or I don't want to, I'm stressed, I'm overwhelmed. And that's a thing here with this chakra energy. It will keep on piling up. It's not like, okay, one day it'll just be done. It'll keep on piling up and piling up until you feel like you want to scream, until you feel like, is there even a reason? And there most definitely is a reason. It's just that things are getting to be a little tricky. And I know that nobody wants to hear that. And I know that we want to hear, it's going to be so easy and it's going to be so fun. But you're going to find that once you step over this hurdle, like once you start seeing things and putting things in the perspective for you, you're going to find that you break through a lot of barriers that were holding you back before. So the left-hand side here is your inner self. The middle is your heart, your emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. And of course, your bonus card. So we have the 9 of Swords, makes perfect sense. 8 of Wands, the Fool, 6 of Cups. 10 of Wands, the High Priestess, I love that. The Queen of Swords, that's you. Also, with a blockage around communication as an air sign energy, Aquarius, that's a very difficult place to be. It's a place where words are so important. Communication is so important. Body language, everything. You take into account everything. It is so important for you. And to have that blockage there, it just, it gets really overwhelming. It can bring you back to, make you feel like you're going back to a time where everything was a struggle. Everything was just like a pauper, like somebody who isn't allowed to be wealthy, a beggar sitting on the outside looking in. And that's something here in your heart where you're like, no, I'm done. I am done. But there's intensity coming forward. The 7 of Cups, the Knight of Cups, water sign energy, Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer, the Ace of Wands, and Aries. So the Ace of Wands is a gift around fire sign energy. So with the full moon in Leo, this gift shines forward, but you might not be seeing it as a gift. And then you have the Hermit, which embraces the full moon in February, which is in Virgo, on the 27th of February. Okay, so let's dive into this time because it really is quite intense for you. Now, during this full moon in Leo, we have a deep connection to the goddess Bridget. Now, whether you see the goddess as a spiritual figure or whether you see her as a mythological figure, that doesn't really matter. She's the goddess of poetry, healing, and smithwork. What's going to be coming up during this time is that connection to the art, to the to the power that she brings forward. So here you have power and surrender to the divine. You are going to find that there is great power in healing, that there is great power in poetry. You know that there is great power even in smith work, which sounds odd, but you're going to see things kind of linking themselves together, making something very fragile, very beautiful. I'm just seeing jewelry work here. It's either like you're going to find yourself being very sentimental towards a piece of jewelry that you have, that you've inherited, or that has tremendous sentimental value for you, or just in beautiful things in general, Aquarius. You're going to find yourself being astoundingly drawn to poetry, the poetry of life, the poetry of living, the poetry of heartbreak, pain, disappointment, joy, success, and sorrow. That's really going to be coming forward during this time. And though this is the Leo full moon and the wolf moon, if you look at it from the almanac's point of view, this is also the rowan moon. And what the rowan moon brings is it brings protection, and it brings strength, and it brings success in new ventures. But this Leo moon kind of makes it very hard to go out and have new ventures or new adventures. And you might say, okay, well, we're coming out of 2020. We're still in this, it's very hard to have adventures sort of world that we're living in. And so the success in new ventures can be seen as, okay, I understand why that's difficult. But the full moon in Leo brings an extra dimension into it, because this says don't let pride get in your way. And pride, for me, absolutely equates to ego. So it's don't let your ego get in the way, because it's going to want to be center stage. You're going to want to be center stage. You're going to want to be right. They're going to have to be wrong. That's just the way of life, right? You always have a winner and a loser. But during this time, everybody wants to be the winner, and you can't have that. Everybody can't win. It's just not a thing. And so here, this moon brings the drama. It brings the drama in a big way. And as we all want to be in the spotlight, nobody can step aside. And yet everybody feels ignored. Everybody feels like they're not getting the attention that they deserve. So here with the full moon in Leo, you are looking at things in a very intense way. This is emotionally, astoundingly intense for everybody involved. And you're also looking at it in a very vulnerable way, because with this sense of needing to be seen, there's a bit of an insecurity that comes forward, because if we were all really secure within ourselves, we wouldn't care to be center stage or not. We'd say, yeah, okay, I'll stand where I need to stand and I'll do what I need to do, and then I'll move forward. But the ego comes in a very strong way, and it sideswipes you. It just does. Now, Leo is a fixed sun sign. So Leo is powered by the sun, and the moon reflects the sun's light. So here, especially during Mercury retrograde, and I know we have like 2 days before Mercury retrograde comes, Mercury retrograde brings our subconscious into the world. It's where we keep on tripping things up. It's where we have our arguments. It's where we keep on, finding the difficulties. So Mercury retrograde comes into play. And with this moon, when it's the fixed sun sign, we have very fixed energy. We're not going to want to move the same way that we usually move. We were going to want to sit there and say, this is what I want, and this is what I'm going after. There's heightened stubbornness here. And you're going to find that you just don't want to give in. It's going to be a sense of it's my way or the highway, and we can get very aggressive about this. Every single person can get very aggressive about this. So stepping back, putting distance between what it is that is annoying you or what it is that is aggravating you, and just giving yourself a moment, that is going to be one of the best things for you, Aquarius, during this time. To sit there and say, need to step back. Need to excuse myself from this situation. Even if it's just going into the restroom, closing the door, splashing some cold water on your face, or, just having a quiet moment just to kind of sit down and just breathe. That's what you need to do. That is exactly what you need to do. Because whether you're at home or if you're at work, you need to keep your head, kind of like Kipling says, to keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. That is what you need to do during this time. And as you do so, start to embrace your heart. Why? Because Aquarius, you come from the heart. You are ruled by the heart. And Leo is also ruled by the heart. And with this sense of emotional truth coming forward, you need to listen to your heart. Because if you listen to your heart, you're not listening to your ego. And when you listen to your heart, you can sit there and say, well, I feel heartbroken because I'm not doing this right, or I feel attacked, or something like that. And that's going to be able to put things in perspective and then be like, okay, now I can move forward. Like, now I see it. Now I see where the anger is coming from, where the insecurity is coming from. And you start to move in your power and in your determination. Now, this moon also leads to us overreacting on things. And we have heightened emotions, and our vanity really comes into play. So this is a time to be really mindful of all these things. But this is also a really heightened creative time and a spontaneous, romantic, fun-loving time. So it's not all bad, but it does bring a lot, especially, coming right before Mercury retrograde. It brings a lot forward for us to really have to think of, because our subconscious and our ego comes forward. And then we have the new moon in Aquarius on the 17th of February. This brings beginnings. This brings us knowing that a new start is coming, and we're walking through that portal. We're walking through to a new us. We're walking through to a new understanding of where it is that we want to be. We're also walking through the darkness into a greater sense of what we desire for ourselves and where we want our lives to head. So there's a bit of melancholy here, Aquarius, and we see it within your inner self. We see it within the Nine of Swords and the Six of Cups. There's a sense of being very nostalgic, looking at things and thinking things were better when, or having words that were said that were really quite hurtful, and having those dictate our lives. And it brings a level of poverty into the heart. It just does. It brings a sense of, I can't achieve what I want to achieve. I'm never going to be as good as, whomever, whether it be a person that you went to grade school with, or a sibling, or just even living up to your parents' expectations, or, your partner's expectations. There's a sense here of somebody who you trusted, and you really trusted them. They left you out in the cold. And you're going to think, I'm just always going to fail, aren't I? No matter how much success I have, in the end, it will end with failure. And this is why you're told here to bring love into the situation. Because this darkness, and it is darkness, it is chaos, it's to take your high vibrational energy and knock it back down to low vibrational energy. So we can be base, so we can be like the masses. No, we want to be higher. We want to raise our energy so that we can grace the day, so that we can move forward in power, so that we can step back and see that the throne is ours. And during this time, and that the dreams can come true. And during this time, there's going to be this fight between, I'm my failures, I'm my addictions, I'm my failed relationships, I'm my, sorrows and disappointments and disabilities. I'm that, and I will always be that. And yet, there's that knowing that there's so much more out there for you. That stardust courses through your veins. That divinity hid the God's head within you, because, as Brahma said, I hide the God's head within you because you will not find it there. You will not look inward. And here, with the new moon in Aquarius, you bring the love into the situation. You start to pour those waters forward. But you're going to have a very real desire to pour the waters forward, but to keep pouring. To keep saying, I can give, and I can give, and I can give. And you're going to have to balance that. And that's going to be tricky for you, Aquarius. It just is. And then we have the full moon in Virgo, which you are very attached to, and it is kind of shining a light over this whole lunar cycle. And it says here, you are good enough. Now, if you are like me, and I know I share this every time Virgo comes up, but it is so important. Spirit, divinity is saying it is so important. So when you have Virgo full moon saying, you're good enough. When I first started using this deck, when I first started working with these cards, it got me so mad. It got me so mad. I wasn't where I wanted to be in my life. There was chaos. Everything was falling down around me. I felt so vulnerable, so overwhelmed. And to hear and to read, you're good enough, it felt patronizing. It felt arrogant. It felt wrong. It felt like, what are you saying, I could quit? You're saying this is it? I can't achieve? I can't move forward? But that's not what it's saying at all. That was my own insecurity coming forward. So when you hear, you are good enough, it doesn't mean that you are settling. It doesn't mean that there's nothing else left out there for you. It means that you're not a mistake. That at this moment, at this place in your life, you have what you need to pull yourself forward. Maybe not gracefully and beautifully and perfectly like they do in the movies, but really and rawly, powerfully and truthfully. To start to realize that you are exquisite, that your life is poetry. It is those sad moments, and it is the beautiful crescendos of ecstasy and laughter and truth. And so here, you're embracing that. You're embracing that full moon. And it's really guiding you. It's guiding you to a place where you're looking at your ego, because Leo makes us look at our ego. And you're looking at your subconscious, because Mercury retrograde makes you look at your subconscious. And you're stepping back and you're connected with this Virgo energy that says, I'm enough. And I'm not going to be ruled by anybody else. And the spirit animals that are protecting you during this time are the owl spirit and the bear spirit. Now, the owl spirit says, you see clearly now. And the bear spirit says, take time out. Take time out to look at the seeds that you've planted over your heart, to ground yourself in the force of your strength, to channel your confidence, and also to challenge your confidence, to push outside of your comfort zone, even if it's just within your mind. Because the coolest things about our mind is that our mind does not know the difference between make-believe, between what we're imagining and what truly is. That's why we can get so caught up in a book when we're reading it, or a movie when we're watching it, and think that we know people, feel like we know these characters that we've never met. So here, it's embracing and challenging what you are confident in, laying down new roads, pushing yourself forward, because you're going to see that it opens up new pathways. It starts to embrace your mind, and your mind starts to say, well, I've already done that. Like I can do that because I've already thought about doing it so much that it feels real. And you start to see that this is a symbol of success, of problem solving, and of finding solutions through meditation, through rest, through healing your own mind, through embracing your own dreams. And this has you embracing the fact that you see clearly now, because you're seeing within the shadows. You're taking time to face the shadows and see the wisdom in silence. You're taking the time to look at your truth, to lift the veil, which is right over your heart, right here, right at the heart of your heart, and say, I see where I stand, but I also see where others stand with me. And I'm not going to be guided by lies, deceits, angers, and vanity. I'm going to be guided by my truth as I see it and as it stands right now. And it leads you to February spirit animal of the outer spirit. You are never alone, which can sound ominous, but is also super beautiful because it's your angels and your spirit guides right there with you, making that heart. We always think that it's other people that we need to connect with. What about connecting with the spiritual guides that embrace our lives, that, move us forward, that want us so desperately to succeed? And so the outer spirit says, stop swimming against the current. It's time to stop the endless fighting. It's time to look at what it is that you want and let the nightmares and let the past be what it is. And look at where you stand right now. And let Spirit take you on this journey. Kind of go with the flow. Embrace, embark, look. It's time to embrace joy. It's time to let joy in. And as you do so, you bring a unity into yourself because you're connecting with that spiritual aspect of you. And you become aware of your subconscious. And during Mercury retrograde, to be aware of your subconscious puts you a step ahead of everybody else. And there's a real sense here of being truly aware of your subconscious, of what it is that you've been desiring, of how it is that you want to move forward. But you're crowned here with your nightmares. You're crowned here with your doubts, your fears, your angers, your upsets, your disappointments. Everything that feels wrong. And the Nine of Swords is the worry that keeps us up at night. It is a sense of, I can't stop worrying. It's kind of like, and if you're saying, well, I'm not worrying, this is a sense of filling everything with busy nonsense work instead of focusing on what needs to be focused on. It's like staying up really, really, really super late at night because it's your only quiet time. It's the only time where you can, sit there and not be bothered by everybody else's demands, everybody else's needs. But when we face our nightmares, when we face what we doubt and what scares us, we don't have that apprehension of having to face a new day. We sit there and we say, wow, I can do this, can't I? I can move forward. I don't have to run away. I can be me. I can stand strong. I know this power. And it's once you start to face the nightmares, once you start to look at what your subconscious is saying to kind of keep you safe, to say, well, I know you can't really handle any more stress right now. Or, oh, I know that you're afraid that you will relapse, that you will have this addiction come again, or have a relationship like you were just in, or this person will get angry like they just got. And so I'm going to protect you. And it comes through worrying. It comes through making yourself more quiet, more... It's kind of like being so scared you shake. And that's what your mind is doing. It's like, I don't know if I can move forward in the power, in the prosperity, in the bounty that I need within my life. And here you're going to see that that starts to change really, really fast. There's something that comes in and you're like, no, no longer do I get to be afraid that the nightmare will come. And for some of you, I know divinity does this with me all the time. And I'm grateful for it, yes, because I should be. But whatever I'm super afraid of, divinity makes me live in one way or another. So if I'm super afraid, like, okay, so one time I had Lyme disease and I'm severely dyslexic. And my biggest fear was that I was going to wake up and not know how to read. That was my biggest fear. It had been my greatest challenge. It had taken me so long to be able to do. And I thought, what if I just wake up and can't do it? And when I got Lyme disease, I woke up one day and I was so tired. I was so exhausted. My body hurt so much. I couldn't read. And so divinity made me live that fear because I was like, I came out of it. I came out of it. I found help. I, became more. And you can find yourself having to do this during this time where divinity throws in your path what you are afraid of and sits there and says, not in some sort of terrifying way, like, monstrous way, but in a way that makes you sit there and say, I came out of it. I can move forward. I handled that and I did it rather well. And now I can also start to see that, yeah, I'm deserving of the gifts that are coming into my life. I'm deserving of moving forward in my faith and in my joy and in my prosperity and in my greater understanding. And that's where things start to change really fast. And I do feel for a lot of you Aquariuses, that's a curveball that comes your way. You're not expecting it. You're definitely not watching it. But it moves you forward. And you have the repeat here. No, you don't have the repeat of the number 8. But you have the Fool coming forward. And there's a sense here, I don't know why Spirit keeps on saying the repeat of the number 8 in my mind. You do have the repeat of the number 9. You're coming very close to a completion of a cycle. But there is a sense of taking things too seriously, kind of wanting to plan for everything. So a bit of a release, a bit of a kind of go with the flow. The spirit animal, the otter spirit animal is going to be so beneficial for you. Even if you just keep a little picture of an otter, like as the background on your phone or something like that, that's going to be so important for you. Just picture yourself going with the flow, being an adorable otter, just having fun with life. And even if you're saying to yourself, well, I'm only having fun in my own mind. That's great. That's one of the best places to start because you're going to see that things start changing for you, that you have this change coming in, and then it's like, I can't walk the path that I'm on. It's like you're going to know a change needs to come. Now, it can be a change with work. It can be a change of relationships. It can be a change of mind. It can be, sitting there and it's like, I just need a change, and you decide to cut your hair or something like that. It doesn't have to be a big thing, but it is a big thing for you. It starts you on this new path. It starts you looking at things and embracing your hero's journey, embracing your dreams, what you desire, what you want, where it is that you need to be. Because this faith in yourself is tested not only by the fears that you have, the sense of I'll never get to where I want to be in life, the sense of I always mess up, or I'm just not as qualified as everybody else. I just can't. It then moves you to the 6 of Cups. It's at your root. And it's because something in your past, there was a trip. Now, the trip could be falling flat on your face and, everything going wrong. And you can sit there for some and really pinpoint it. With addictions, with, bad tempers, with things like that. We can sit there and say, okay, that I can see. But for others, there is this little seed of doubt that was spoken over you when you were very small. Or when you were with a partner who you really loved. And they started off, they really loved you, they really liked you, they told you how wonderful you were, how beautiful you were, just how important you were. And then it started to erode, it started to change. Everything became your fault. The anger started to come. And these are the places of fear that we live in within our mind. The places of, I just can't. Your father bellowing at you when you were a child, sitting there and telling you how worthless you are, or your mother. And it leaves an impact. And here, it's at your root of your inner self. And for some, you're stuck in that nightmare. You're stuck in that I will never be good enough mentality. And the escape could have been the drugs. And you could sit there and say, well, I'm never going to conquer this. I've tried so hard for so long and I've never gotten there. Now is your time to get there. Now is your time, because you're going to see that there is more that you're living for. There is more that you want to life. And that starts bubbling higher and higher to the surface because you're crowned with your dreams. But the weight of your heart, it's just too much. An escape, well, escape seems really nice at times, doesn't it? Just an ability to say, no, I don't want this. I get to move forward for me. I get to look at things for me. Because when we have this weight on our shoulders, we're putting more and more on and smiling and saying, oh no, I'm fine. Oh no, I'm great. Oh no, I got this. The resentment comes, the anger comes, the pain comes, the hurt comes. And this is you sitting there and saying, I'm done. I'm done carrying everything. That's why you're letting the love show. You're letting the love for yourself show and shine. And you release the burdens that are on your shoulders. You release the pain and the disappointment, the anger, the upset, the upheaval. And you sit there and say, it's time for my dreams. It's not time for my nightmares. It's just not. And you let yourself shine. You let yourself be. You also look at how you're trying to carry everybody else. How you're trying to sit there and say, I will put it all on my shoulders and it will be fantastic. It won't be. Because we're keeping other people, when we do this, we keep other people from learning their lessons. And part of life is learning your lessons. I'm a firm believer that we find out much more quickly who we're not than we find out who we are. Because yes, you might know it when you're very little, but you lose it along the way when the world starts chattering at you. This is starting to release the weight that has become too much to bear. The hurt, the pain, the disappointment. You start to rise. You start to see behind the veil of yourself. You start to see your truth. You start to embrace your truth. You start to look at things more openly, more honestly, more powerfully for you. You look within the shadows, and again, you find wisdom. This very much connects you to the owl. It's very much flying into your world. And you have the wolf here with this wolf moon bringing you on this journey. And this journey for you can be very spiritual. It can be very contemplative. You don't have to go anywhere to be on it. But it's going to start opening doors. It's going to start having you say, why not? Why can't I? Why shouldn't I? And I deserve it. Not in an obnoxious way, but in a way that says, if I do not seize this moment for me, when will I ever? And as you look behind the veil, also as you awaken within your power, it can be very overwhelming, the way that you see people. That's why communication can be so confuddled. You have listening and communication. And so with the listening, it's like you're listening to everything, right? It is listening and communication. Yeah, you're listening to everything. You're taking in everything. So it's sensory overload for some of you Aquariuses, for a lot of you Aquariuses. And then the communication, because you're taking in everything. You're not only communicating on one level, you're communicating on a multitude of different levels. You're reading their body language. You're looking at everything that they're doing, not just what they're saying. And you know what? For a lot of people, they don't even know how to communicate like that. So you're taking all this in, and then they're wanting a simple yes or no, or, they're not as committed to it as you are. And that's going to have to be okay right now. Because this is like gathering up information. This is gathering up knowledge and just storing it away in the back of your mind, being like, okay, I pick up on that, like I see it, and it's enough for me to know. And then it can be coming home, journaling or talking to your spirit guides. Give your spirit guides a name. I know it might sound funny. You might think, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. But if you give something a name, it's like if you name your fear. If you sit there and see this, deep, dark fear and you give it a name, and then you have a conversation with it. It's like, okay, well, Kelly, why is it that you have me afraid of XYZ? Public speaking or, going out there. And then the response back in your mind, it becomes more of a conversation instead of just trying to unravel something within yourself. It's letting this other part of your mind speak. And then you're going to see that that part of you is trying to protect you for one reason or another. And you're going to find here with the High Priestess, the veil is being lifted and you're seeing the areas in your life where you have needed to be protected. You have maybe felt a bit more vulnerable, a bit more overwhelmed. And so here you move forward in that power, you move forward in that insight, and you have that conversation with your spirit guides, with your angels, if that's more comfortable for you. But it's either through journaling, it could be through talking out loud, it can be journaling or talking to your angels and your spirit guides, and at night before you go to sleep. And you'll find that it really progresses you forward emotionally and passionately. Say to your angels, say to your spirit guides, please guide me as I sleep. Please let me have insight, understanding that I need as I sleep. So that starts to come to you. And then you start to see yourself embracing this queenliness, embracing this sense of, I can do it, can't I? Cutting through doubts and fears, knowing where you stand, knowing what it is that you stand for, sitting there and saying, I'm not the nonsense. I am cutting through the nonsense to embrace my power, my insights, myself, and I'm opening up the door. So the Queen of Swords cuts through the nonsense. And it can be that you feel a bit colder at times. You're like, okay, well, let's look at the facts. Let's look at what needs to be done. And yes, that's going to be important. But the Queen of Swords is also the warrior queen. She uses her mind as a weapon, because the mind is a weapon. That's how human beings were able to evolve, because we learned how to set traps. We didn't just, hunt willy-nilly. We worked in a group, we set traps, we looked at the bigger picture. So if you hone your mind, that's why the swords, it's a weapon. It can be a display, but it is always first and foremost a weapon. It is the only one in the tarot that is only one thing, always. So here you have that weapon of the mind, of the clarity of insight, of the cutting through the nonsense, of maybe being a little bit more logical with things than simply knowing, than simply emotional. Because what you're fighting against here during this time too is a poverty mentality, is a sense of, I will never be able to have wealth within my life. Or when you have wealth come in, you start to be like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? How did this happen? When is it going to end? When is it all going to fall apart? You will start to see what you think about, what you focus on, it becomes self-fulfilling prophecy. So during this time, because you've been through this, you've been through the pauper time, or you might be going through it now, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, when am I going to come out? You focus on it, it will keep on coming. You sit there, you look at it, and say, there is more. I keep on, doing what I need to do, focusing on what I need to focus on. And it's like one task at a time. I personally hate schedules. I don't like being told what to do. So I find that I, want to avoid them. But if you kind of hunker down and say, okay, kind of buck it up and do it, you can find that it's very good. Very good to have a set of, this is what I need to do. This is, the allotted time that I need to do it, and move forward. Or this is what I need to do. Make sure I get to everything on the list and do it. Because what you're going to have here is you're going to have you moving away from poverty into prosperity, into bounty. And it's changing your mind because you're a queen. Queens aren't poor. Queens have castles. Queens have, people. So here you're embracing that prosperity. You're embracing that bounty of mindset. And instead of your heart being rooted in poverty, you're going to start to see yourself at your center. You've been overworked. Okay? You've had to handle a lot more than what most people have to handle. And it's been going on forever. Like, you could sit there and say, Dane, you would not even believe how many years this has been going on. And so, 10, 15 years or better, or months. But it's been so unbearable. And what you're going to see here is that you're changing it. It's you. It's your insight. It's your ideas. It's your focus that starts to slowly and steadily change it. Because what you're doing in the public arena, your dreams are starting to come forward. The things that you kind of gave up on. You thought, oh, well, it's never going to amount to anything. I'm going to keep this in a nice little box, shove it into the back of my subconscious, and bring it out whenever I need to feel good. But I'm not going to let the world take my dreams. Because the world takes so much from us. It really does. It takes our patience. It takes, everything from us. But the world also gives so much in the richness of discovery and understanding. And a lot of times, the hardest things that we've gone through, the most aggravating, upsetting, terrible things, wind up being the greatest teachers. And we can see that as the years go by. We might not know it right away, but as the years go on, it's like, wow, if I never went through that, I wouldn't be here. Like, if I didn't have that hardship, that pain, that disappointment, I wouldn't be me. And our dreams, we lock away because we don't want the world to take away their beauty. Now you're starting to say to yourself, why? Why lock my dreams away? Why lock a pivotal part of me away? Bring it to the light. Bring it to the light of the moon. Start working on things at night, just a little bit, if you have the time for it. Or start thinking about it at night, kind of planning it out in your head, sitting there and saying, what's the first step? What's the first way forward? You're going to start to see that those dreams that are so important to your subconscious, so important to your telling of who it is that you are, they start to bleed their way into your life. They start to come forward little by little by little. Because it starts to become such a part of your mind, such a part of your thinking. And it moves you to being a warrior of your heart. You're also going to find yourself being inspired. Okay, the spirit world is greatly influencing the public arena for you. So there is something here where it can be your ancestors are coming in and they're kind of like, I always wanted to do this, but I was too afraid. So I'm going to make sure my ancestor, not my ancestor, but my descendant, is living their dream, is having this come forward. You can start thinking about it all the time. It starts to infest your mind. We have things like that. We have these thoughts infest our mind, at one point or another, or we forget about it and then it comes back. That's saying that the dream is still there. So here we also become defenders of our hearts, of our passion, of what we love. The Knight of Cups is like, I'm going for it. I'm going for it. I'm holding that cup up in celebration, in beauty, in blessings, and I am going to go for what my heart needs, what feeds my soul. And it leads you to getting this gift of passion, of insight, of ideas and ideals, and sitting there and saying, this is the reason I get out of bed in the morning. You're getting me inspired. But you're also seeing that fire come back. That fire that might have defined you for so long. You might have been known as the feisty one. You might have been known as, the one who never held their tongue, always was going after their dreams. But life has a way of wearing us down, especially with what we've all been through. And it has a way of making our dreams seem impossible. But here, with the Ace of Wands, those dreams come back. And they start to light our way. This is the light that guides us as the hermit, that as we turn inward, says, focus on me, see me, listen to me. I will guide you in a way that you hadn't imagined. Because just think of going hiking. I love to go hiking. And sometimes the terrain is a bit, frozen or, slippery or, unsteady because, it's nature. And you need a stick to kind of balance you along the way. And it's always better to go out hiking during the day than at night. So you have that light illuminating you, balancing you as you turn inward, as you move forward, because you're claiming a throne. You are going to find yourself saying, I can rule my life. And yes, we should all rule our own lives, but life is tricky. Life is tricky. And sometimes it almost feels like other people are ruling our lives. Other people are calling the shots. And we're just there, we're just there for the ride. And here with the Emperor, it's like, I am claiming my throne. This is who I am. This is who I need to be. I need to be in charge of my existence, of my power. Now, if you have a disability or something that is keeping you, from moving forward exactly the way that you want to, it's claiming that power within your mind. It's sitting there and knowing that force within you. It's going to be nonetheless powerful. And here, it's doing that mentally. It's sitting there and saying, not, oh, I can do that, I can do it, I can do it. It's sitting there and in your mind saying, I'm in control of this game. Things aren't happening to me. Okay? I am being guided and I am paving my way forward. I am setting this path. And nobody's going to take that from me. And there's a complacency that comes from exhaustion, that comes from just life being so much. And there's a sense here of rising, of claiming the throne, of claiming your voice, of sitting there and knowing your truth. Nobody might know this but you. But there is a passion and a power and a brilliance, and you claim yourself as Emperor. And it guides you forward. It has you looking at things internally so much more differently, so much more powerfully, so much more assuredly. And you're looking inward at those fears, but also at those blessings. You're looking inward at everything that makes you who it is that you are, for better or for worse, in joy or in sorrow. And you start to embrace the power and the brilliance and move forward in that determination. So let's see what the moon has to say. But this is also saying that a lot of your inspiration during this time, Aquarius, it comes from silence. It comes from introspection. It comes from stepping back and letting yourself think, letting yourself gain insight into you, and not thinking that it's selfish or not thinking that it's silly, thinking that this is a pivotal part of me during this time. And for a lot of you, Aquarius, for your whole entire life, this is a pivotal part of who you are and the blessings that you need to embrace. And it comes to you because you are so connected with divinity. You are so connected with the universe that as you connect more with just being able to listen, you will start to be that type of person who asks a question and finds that the way that the wind blows kind of answers the questions. Like you kind of feel that energy drawing you one way or another. And, the birds that you see, like, start to answer the questions. It's like all of a sudden there starts to become a rhythm to life, and it starts to bring such answers to you. Okay. So now let's see what Luna has to say. How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. And show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Angels. How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? How will Aquarius be affected by the January 2021 full moon? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides. Show me clearly, guide this reading, and show me clearly. Fantastic. Oh, goodness. So we have here void, resilience, and wisdom. Surrender. Yeah, there's just this sense of a release. Nothing is yet set in stone. A new romantic cycle begins. Kind of a falling in love with life. Look at the bigger picture. Adjustments are required. Nothing will come of the situation. Okay, so in the description box below, I have a link to the Void of Course. Just click on that link, go to January 2021, and you will find the Void of Courses for this time, which are times during this lunar cycle where things will not go as you have planned. So at the root of you, as you are embracing your prosperity and your bounty, just be very mindful of the Void of Courses, because things will not go as you thought they would during those times. And they're going to be a little bit more prevalent to you than they would be to other people. And this is going to be very much in the public arena. This is where the listening, the communication, the mastery of the self, those chakra energies of the throat chakra and the solar plexus chakra, the intensity of them, kind of like all the chaos that you're embracing and you're going through, comes forward. Oh, excuse me. Okay, good. Sorry, I thought I was going to sneeze. It comes forward and you start to look at things and it's like, I have to make adjustments. That's why it says adjustments are required. There's going to be one way that you thought this lunar cycle will be, or there's going to be one way that you thought certain things would be. And now you're starting to say, there's something different here. There's something more here than what I thought they would be, or how I thought it was going to be. This is going to be a real time to say, angels, spirit guides, divinity, guide me forward. Let me see. Let me have this understanding, because there's this void that comes. There's this void that is a part of you, but a part of life, a part of self. And the void is not bad. Okay, the void, the silence, the contemplation, the introspection. There is a sense here of needing to embrace the nothing to overcome the fear, needing to embrace silence to overcome fear, to kind of connect with yourself. And then things start to move forward very powerfully, very intensely. And the load that you carry has been so heavy, right? This is your tree of your life. This is what you're building. Now it's time to take that tree out of the pot and plant it into the earth. To say, what is it that I am giving root to in my existence? Because the resilience is great. The trudging up the hill, the finding the right spot, the sitting there and saying, I'm growing my dreams on my back. But to release those dreams, and that's what you have yourself crowned with in your heart, to release those dreams, to let yourself move forward, to take all the responsibilities that you've just put on your shoulders and say, now it's time to embrace the change, to embrace what I desire, to embrace what I need, and give it root, to give me root, because there's wisdom that comes. There's wisdom that comes through releasing the past, through naming the hurt, through seeing the hurt that had defined you for just too long. And it brings you then to the surrender of a change of a cycle, to the surrender of the deeper wisdom that is coming your way, the deeper insight, the deeper understanding. And you know, nothing is yet set in stone. There is a ferocity, there is a brilliance, there is a determination to you, and nothing is set in stone. There's no one way that things ever have to be. And this is embracing the multitude of possibilities, the multitude of brilliance. And it brings you to a new romantic cycle beginning. It brings you from being in a place of poverty to being in a place of love, abundance, bounty. So often, and if you have been there, Lord knows I have, but if you have been in a place of financial devastation, of feeling like you will never, ever, ever dig yourself out of that hole, it's a hopeless place. It's a terrifying place. And even if you dug yourself out of that hole, that fear, it stays in your mind. The sense of, I'm not worthy. If I was worthy, I wouldn't have failed to begin with. I wouldn't have been homeless. I wouldn't have been, in the wrong jobs. I wouldn't have taken so long to find my purpose. Things like that. They start coming into your mind. I wouldn't have fallen off the path. I wouldn't have been tempted. I wouldn't have, whatever we are beating ourselves up over. Those are lies, keeping us poor, constantly making us wait for the next shoe to drop, sitting there and thinking, it's going to. I always mess things up. I can never stay on the straight and narrow. The allure is just too great. The addiction is just too strong. No, a new romantic cycle is beginning. A new time to fall in love with your life, to find your balance, to call your beauty forward, to sit there and say, this is me. My goodness, this is me. And it brings you to take aim and to look at the bigger picture, not get caught up in the minutia, in the people agreeing with you or, doing what everybody wants at that exact moment. Look at the bigger picture. Look at what it is that you want, Aquarius. Take aim towards your dreams and towards the fighting, towards the determination of those dreams to lead you forward, of your heart's truth to guide you. Because it leads you to adjustments are required. As you hold that staff in your hands, as you let that light illuminate your path, adjustments are required. Insights are needed. And it brings you to knowing that nothing will come of the situation. Nothing will come of the situation exactly as you have planned. And that's not a bad thing. That's a divine thing. There are greater mysteries, there are greater truths to life than we will ever know. And maybe even ever, think of knowing. Do not try to sit there and plan out this time and say, this will happen, that will happen. Yes, I know divinity said schedules good things. They are good things to kind of keep you on track, to sit there and say, okay, this is what I need to do. This is, how I need to kind of conduct me. Because you can fall into the chaos of everybody else so easily. But know that during this time, especially, there are going to be twists and turns along the way that you couldn't possibly have anticipated. It brings you to your subconscious chakra message, which is inspiration, the sacral chakra. This is where a lot of negativity is held from this life and from past lives. So here, this is karmic debt. This is generational curse. This is everything. Okay, everything that has kept us small is held within our sacral chakra. It comes out in our inability to express ourselves creatively, in our inability to really be intimate with our partners or, express ourselves sexually the way that we want to. And this is now a new time of inspiration. This is a new dawn, a new passion, a new power that is coming forward. And this is a sense of being inspired, of being emboldened. And this is a sense of saying, I'm reclaiming me. And it is a new dawn. This leads you to your subconscious Luna message, which is resilience. Resistance, there we go. But it's the resilience of growing through what is trying to crush you. The resistance of saying, I will not be destroyed. I will not be broken. I will rise, and I will keep on rising. it leads you to go deeper into that Luna message and expect powerful change. Expect powerful change to move you forward. Expect powerful change to guide you on a path you hadn't expected. Expect that powerful change to come. And expect you to be a part of it. And there's also going to be a bit of an apprehension, a bit of a fear. You know powerful change is coming, and there can be a part of you that's really resisting it. This is why you need to talk to all aspects of yourself, all fear parts of yourself, all parts that hold the nightmares, and say, why? Why are we keeping ourselves back? And then when you know it, when you name it, it doesn't mean that the next day you change it. You sit there and you conquer those dragons. It's like, okay, now I know it. Now I can kind of sit on it for a little bit and start to change it. Start to bring that power forward. It leads you then to your subconscious tarot message, which is the Four of Cups. God, Source, Spirit, however you see the divine universe, is handing you a gift. It doesn't look like a gift that you want. It doesn't look like anything that you expect, but it is a gift. And it is going to be more powerful, more purposeful, more life-changing than you think it will be, or than you ever even expected. And you may not even know that this gift is being handed to you. But accept it. Accept the gifts that are coming your way, even if they look at the time like curses. Move forward in your power and in your strength, because doors will start to open. And it's all going to be, you're going to look back, and it can be years, it can be even decades later, and you're like, oh, well, that's why I had to do it, isn't it? Like, that's why that had to happen for me to be who it is that I am now. Subconsciously, during this time, you are getting a gift that greatly impacts the course of your future. All right, Aquarius, I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I am sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Now let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the silence, as the weight that has been carried for way too long, the burdens that have been placed upon your shoulders, get released, and you rise in wisdom. The knowledge that you have accumulated becomes the wisdom for which you live by, the kind of golden sage-like truth that forever leads you to your greatness, forever shows you your way forward. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Aquarius, and may you have a blessed moon.